Welcome in to the best in paranormal programming. This is Darkness Radio. I'm Tim Dennis. This is Supernatural News Wednesday in Parashare. By the way, folks, before we get this thing going, it is Thanksgiving week. We just want to let you know how much we are grateful, how much we are thankful for you. And we're going to remind you that all week long. By gosh, that's just what we're going to do because we're sappy like that. We need a co-host for this thing, by gosh, because that's the way this program works. So we're going to bring in the best in the biz. He is the BCB, the big cuddly bear himself, Beer City Bruiser. How you doing, Bruiser?
I'm doing fantastic, Cruiser. How are you?
I'm perplexed. Here's why. Okay, so yesterday I'm driving around town, scrambling like you wouldn't believe because it's a holiday week, and for some reason, now check this out. This is one of those the stars have aligned type deal. This week alone, not only do I have to record all my shows within 2 days because it's a holiday week, everybody wants to enjoy themselves. I get it. It.
Oh yeah.
But I also have 4 doctor appointments in 4 days.
Oh yeah. Doctors want to enjoy the holiday too.
I guess. The only one who has just decided he's going to work on Friday because he doesn't want to spend his money is my orthopedic podiatrist, the one who works on my foot. He's the one who said, you know what? I don't care. I'm not going to have the wife can go spend the money. I'd rather just be here, with patients.
Yeah.
Thank God everyone's taking the holiday off to spend it with family. But everybody else is like, well, let's get it in before Thursday. So for some reason, like yesterday, I went to go see my endocrinologist, Dr. Tasma, right? Okay. Over at the U of M. So on the way back, I just figured I'd tempt fate and see if I could find a McRib in the wild. Now, it's the farewell tour. Right?
Yes. And it was supposed to have ended on the 20th, correct?
Yes. They said through the 20th. Magic words. Through the 20th. Guess what I found out in the wild yesterday?
You found a McRib, didn't you?
I found 2 of them.
So you lassoed them, took them home, carved them up, and put them in your belly, didn't you?
You know I did, right? Now, funny enough, it's really perplexing that, they put it out there. It's the big rush. They got the guy from HBO who's doing the voiceovers, and they're like, this tangy sauce, if you've never tried it before, you have to get it now. Through the 20th, it'll be gone forever, right? Yeah. So I'm like, oh, God, I got to get it now. It's going to be on the 20th. So much so that intern Yoko freeze-dried sandwiches for me.
Really?
Yes, I have 10 of them sitting in my freezer.
Are they good reheated, though? I've never had them reheated.
See, here's the thing. You take that freeze dryer machine?
Yeah.
And it smashes them down,
Right, yeah. Yeah, we got some of that.
Yeah, and you put them in the freezer. I don't know, but I think it vacuum seals them.
Right, yeah.
Right, so I got to think that it's got to be okay.
Like I said, I've never reheated a McRib, so I don't know. I just eat them.
I'm going to find out.
Well, you got to let me know.
So here's the deal. For Christmas, I'm going to have McRib on Christmas.
Well, there you go. Look at you.
Yeah.
I'm not Christmas gift that keeps on giving.
In one way or another, yeah. But I'm going to, I may end up re-giving myself some sort of weird salmonella on Christmas. I'm not sure. But
you might turn into a McRib. I
might. So
Yoko might have to freeze you.
Yeah, they might have to remove my intestines on Christmas, the day after Christmas, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, a little gift to myself, I guess, via intern Yoko. So we've freeze dried 10 sandwiches and thrown them in the freezer.
Okay.
In some mad McRib experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm perplexed now. I'm wanting to find out if this experiment works.
I'm curious if it does.
Yeah.
I might travel to a local McDonald's and see if they got any McRibs, because they have to have overstock, you'd think, right?
Some do, and some said they were going to run out. Like, right. We did the tour of McDonald's in the area. There is a McRib finder.
Oh, there is?
Yeah, there's an app. There's a McRib finder app.
Okay.
So if you could pull that up on your phone, you can see which McDonald's still have McRibs. Okay.
Yeah, I'll have to do that, but I won't be able to do it on Christmas because I'm traveling all Christmas.
No, I mean like right now.
Oh no, yeah. But I want to find it to freeze it.
Yeah,
eat it later.
Yeah. But have Mrs. Bruiser, if you have one of those vacuum sealer machines.
We do. She uses it constantly.
Okay, so have her vacuum seal and freeze.
Yeah.
And then.
Because our neighbor gave us some venison, and I love me some venison. So she,
there you go.
She did that. You know, we got the back strap, and we got some of the ground chuck stuff, and
there you go,
cubes and all that. So we froze that because that's what we're gonna have it on Thanksgiving. We're gonna have some, and then
there you go. See? Christmas
time we're taking it out because we have to travel all over the country to see our kids.
Yep.
So we're gonna bring some with us.
There you go. See, so there it is. So so that's the deal. So venison for you,
McRib for you.
I might even pull out a little bit Black Friday. I'm not sure. I'll probably take home Thanksgiving leftovers from the family, but if not, McRib for me on Black Friday.
See, I'm working Black Friday, so
that's right. Now, see, you've got WrestleCade coming up.
Yeah, it starts Friday. It goes all the way through Sunday. So I'm not going to have much time to sleep.
True, yeah.
We have to drop Ziggy Star Pup over at the dog sitter and head straight up an hour and a half away from home. And I wrestle Friday night, and I have autograph signings Friday. I have autograph signings all day Saturday, wrestle Saturday night, and then Sunday, all day autograph signings, and then another show Sunday night, and then I'll be home.
There you go. And folks, I've been a little lax in putting this up. I got to put it up on the blog on darknessradioshow.com. Also check Bruiser's social media for tickets for WrestleCade. I'm telling you, even if you're not a current wrestling fan, there are some guys out there from the old days that you're going to want to see out at WrestleCade. It's well worth it to go out there and
I'm actually wrestling some guys from the old days. I don't know if you saw the match or not. Yes. I thought you'd get excited about that. Yeah,
I'm a little jealous. I'm kind of jealous that I'm not going to be down there this weekend. I saw the match. Go ahead and tell people who it is.
It is going to be myself, a fellow named John Schuyler, and the Dawson brothers, who are just two big burly men. And we are facing the Rock and Roll Express, George South, and Kerry Morton, who's the son of Ricky Morton of the Rock and Roll Express.
Yeah, that's going to be something.
Anybody from the 70s and 80s has to remember the Rock and Roll Express.
That is going to be something.
They were the thing. And I actually looked up to them as when I got into the wrestling, into the underwater needle business. And it's an honor to share a ring with them. I've shared locker rooms with them. I've shared cars with them. I've gone all over the country with them, but I've never wrestled them. So I'm really this is my first time looking across the ring from them. So I'm really excited to learn from them.
Yeah, goosebumps thinking about it?
I do. When the booker told me about it, I was anticipating him putting the graphic up so I could tell everybody. That's the hardest part about this, is you find out what you're doing before you can do it, but you can't share it. That's like Friday, I'm doing something, but I can't tell everybody what it is. I'm excited, but I can't tell anybody.
Oh, you can't hint?
I can't hint.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Well, we'll look for your social media to see what exactly it is. And the minute we find out, we'll blast it.
And I do have to explain. I did get an email from someone. They wanted to know what it is exactly that I do. Because you and I have always joked with underwater needlepoint.
Yeah. Now, this joke started out. This joke started out at the beginning of when Bruiser came in. And by the way, can I just real quick just take a moment away from you here? I got to explain something. During Thanksgiving, I'm really thankful for a lot of things. And one of the things I'm really thankful for is Beer City Bruiser. Bruiser came along in a time when we were reorganizing the show, and I was trying to think to myself, honest to God, I need somebody I can mesh with. I need somebody that's going to come along and kind of rescue the show, because at the time I didn't know. I wanted to bring back the old feel of the show, but at the same time I wanted something new. I wanted something different, but I wanted to maintain the old feel of Darkness Radio. I wanted two buddies who are going to come in here and explore the paranormal from a layman's point of view, but at the same time have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I just knew it was Bruiser. Even back when we were talking back on the cruise and hanging out and having a good time on the Jericho cruise, I had Bruiser in the back of my mind. And the minute I saw him on the cruise, it clicked. I got to do something with him.
Yeah.
I just don't know what it is. I got to do something with them. So it was always filed in the back of my head. So over and over and over again, it was like somebody knocking on the back of my brain saying, hey, have you kept up with Bruiser yet? Have you talked to him? Have you seen him? Have you, so when this thing happened, and by the way, it's been a year now. It's been a year since the fall.
You're right. It has. It has been officially been a year.
And it's been a year since you and I talked, and I said, hey, what's going on with you? And can you hang loose for me? And I may have some potential things in the pipeline, and just stay with me. And I had COVID. And I tell you, man, you not only saved my bacon, you saved the show. You did. I mean, I can't have enough gratitude for you, buddy. I've got so much love for you. You have no idea.
Well, and it comes right back at you because so to explain to fans, what pro wrestling is and what I do is kind of what you see on TV. It's like WWE with Vince McMahon, Undertaker, Stone Cold. That's what I do. So when you turn on pro wrestling and you see those guys, Monday Night Raw and all that, that's what I do. And I've been doing it for 22 years. Somebody asked me, is it entertainment? Is it a sport? What is it? I said, it's both. Mm-hmm. We entertain you. It's for 2 hours. You can come turn on a show and forget about everything. And it's a soap opera with violence, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. Do we really hit each other? No. Are the chairs real? Yes. Tables real? Yes. The injuries are real, as Tim knows.
Oh, God, yeah.
22 years of my body being beat up and all that. And for the last 7 years, I've been under contract with Ring of Honor, which was, I would say, the number 2 company in professional wrestling while it was around. Wouldn't you? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it got sold without anybody knowing about it. And my contract came up. And literally, I think it was 2 days later is when you first contacted me about doing this.
Yeah.
Because I remember telling my wife, I don't know what I'm going to do. Because for 7 years, for 22 years, this has been my life. Mm-hmm. But for 7 years, I've been getting paid really good. I was able to buy a house, buy some cars, send the kids to college, live the American dream.
Yeah.
And it was all taken away in just instantly. And I had no say in it because it got sold. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
And I remember just being down, not trying to find out. And then you reached out and you told me your story, what was going on. And I was like, I think whatever you believe in lined us up. Because what the listeners don't know is you and I have actually been friends for years.
Yeah.
We met years ago when you were a ring announcer / co-owner of a wrestling company in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. And you booked the fat toothless lumberjack to come up and wrestle your show. And then you and I started talking about the paranormal. Yep. And then comic books. And all of a sudden it's like a friendship formed.
Yeah.
And then when we were on the Jericho cruise and we spent that whole week together, it reignited it, and we talked every once in a while. But when you reached out, it was like, I think this is what I'm supposed to do. And I remember the fans were worried at first because they thought we were going to turn it into a wrestling show.
Yeah, they thought, oh, God, you're going to ruin the show. This is it's going to be wrestling talk all the time. There's not going to be any paranormal. There's not going to be this and that. And they didn't get it. And you guys, it's funny because the people who have stayed around, I think, get it.
Yeah. Yeah, we have our little code words for when fans come up to me at shows and they say, oh, I'm here at the underwater needle point. And to me, that's like, all right, cool, you're a listener. And then we talk about the show more than we talk about the event that I'm at.
Yeah, and it was a social experiment. And I told people this is kind of a joke, a social experiment, because we had listeners who, I'm just going to call it what it was, had a chapped ass at the fact that Dave had walked away from the show. And that's exactly what it was, folks. He walked away from the show. Mm-hmm. At that time, I had asked Dave to stay, and he didn't want to. And I had asked him a few times to stay, and he didn't want to. And that's just what he decided. That's just what he wanted. And so, and there's no hard feelings there. That's what he wanted. And by the way, Dave's birthday was Tuesday. I want to wish him a happy birthday. Yes. I didn't get a chance on Tuesday's show to do so. But I want to wish Dave a happy birthday. And he made his decision. He things change, people change, people go their separate ways. Things happen. He's doing his show, Paranormal 60 now, and we're continuing with Darkness Radio here. And that's just the way things are. And both are happy now. Both are doing their things.
And everything lined up because you and I both are just going through big changes, professionally and personally.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we got put here. And over the last year, like, I look forward to recording with you. I love what we do. We have great banter. You're one of my best friends.
Same here.
For the fans that are curious, the listeners that are curious what I do, and if I didn't explain it well enough, just go to my YouTube page. You can see my matches on there. You can see my pro wrestling interviews. And then I've also put up some paranormal stuff, because what you were trying to tell fans when I first came on board was not only am I a pro wrestler, but I also do investigations, and I'm in the paranormal world too.
And I had explained that to people, but I don't think
they wanted me to prove it. So hopefully I proved it to them.
They heard pro wrestler, and it again, for the people who were hardcore paranormal enthusiasts, it kind of chapped their ass that they heard pro wrestler first. But again, let's rewind and recap. In 2017, when we moved from iHeartRadio, when Dave and I did, we got on board with Chris Jericho and the Jericho Network. And that was a contact that I had through Extreme Pro Wrestling Radio. I'm the one who reached out to Chris.
And he's also another fan of the paranormal.
Yes, and he's a huge fan of the paranormal. And that's where that crossover begins. And this show has been tied to pro wrestling for a long time. I was, as Bruiser mentioned, I was in IWI for years and years, and IWI may start up again here soon. The fact of the matter is Dave always would promote IWI and the fact that I had cards coming up on the air. It was always tied to wrestling, and you guys never had a problem with it until he was gone.
Yeah.
And then it was just something to use against me. And that's what it was. So Bruiser and I decided, well, let's make a joke out of it. So we decided, instead of calling it pro wrestling, we were going to call it underwater needlepoint. We were going to make a game out of it. So then the ring became a pool. What Bruiser did was just sinking down to the bottom of the pool, and then using his maneuvers were actual stitches, knit one, purl two. I know that's crocheting or whatever it is.
Which is great, because we've had fans correct us on it.
Yes, yeah. Well, that's
listeners corrected us, which I thought once we start getting the emails about correcting the terms and stuff, I'm like, all right, cool, they're buying this. The listeners like this. Awesome.
Yeah. That's an old common man bit where you say another hit from the Rolling Stones, that's Stairway to Heaven. It's just screwing up the vernacular because you can. So this was the deal. So we just automatically started calling it by a different name so that people knew what we were talking about, who were in the know. It was a smart thing to say for the fans of pro wrestling, but for those who didn't know or weren't in the know of what pro wrestling was, they had no idea what underwater needlepoint was. So it was just a joke for those who were in the know.
And the best thing to describe as pro wrestling is entertainment, and it's a sport. We are athletic. We do go out there. I'm in the gym every day, working out, keep my body in shape, do yoga. I do all that. But, our matches range anywhere from 3 minutes to 60 minutes, and that's cardio. I've had football players come in to train. I've had MMA fighters, soccer players, basketball players, and they're always talking about all this fake stuff. And I'm like, okay. And usually about 10 minutes into the workout, they're throwing up. Because there's in shape and there's in ring shape. And, so hopefully this answers the questions of the people that have been emailing me that, yes, it is entertainment, but yes, it is a sport too. It's not for everybody.
No.
But it is a way to forget about the world.
Yeah. Exactly.
And get, you and I talk off air all the time about stuff we see on there, and we pretend book and do what we do.
Exactly. Yeah.
So hopefully that answers the email, and I'm happy
we didn't read the email. That's the thing. So do you have the email in front of you?
I do. I can pull it up.
Read the email real quick, because this was actually kind of funny. Now, I should preface it with this. Now, we've had a couple of people who the joke has been kind of lost over time, because keep in mind, we started this back in January or February. We started with the reference to underwater needlepoint. So some people now in November are going, well, what is this underwater needlepoint? And maybe they've only been listening for the last couple of months or whatever it is. So, Bruiser, go ahead.
So it was sent from the Darkness Radio app. So thank you for getting the app. Should I say the name or
just the first name?
Yep. It's Jan.
Okay.
And they say, "Hello, Bruiser. I enjoy you and Tim on Darkness Radio. I personally don't know anything about underwater needlepoint. I don't really understand the concept. I was wondering if you might explain what the sport is all about. Maybe I and others might be enlightened. As paranormal radio personalities, you guys rock. I'm sure you are great as a wrestler, too. You both have a great personality and voice. I just don't get it. Is it a show? Is it meant to be taken seriously? I'm just very confused about your other occupation. Thanks for the great paranormal news and the laughs. I'm a regular listener, and I never miss a show." So, no, you don't have to take it seriously. Yes, it is a sport. It is entertaining. And if you're curious to see how I do it, just go to my YouTube page. I have years of matches on there.
You know, interestingly enough, it was Chris Jericho who recently suggested that, and people might roll their eyes when they hear this, but when you hear the concept, I can't explain the concept as well as he does.
Yeah.
Suggested that pro wrestling ought to be in the U.S. Olympics. Now, before you roll your eyes and go, oh, come on. The concept is there are a lot of things that are done in tandems or pairs in the U.S. Olympics.
Yeah.
And the idea being that there are some incredibly athletic pro wrestlers out there that do incredibly athletic things in the ring. If you've ever watched, for example, the Young Bucks and Lucha Brothers in a match, some of the things they do, there are world-class gymnasts that don't do that.
Yeah.
They just,
in fact, a couple of guys that are on top right now, like an AJ Styles or a Ricochet, they were gymnasts before they were pro wrestlers.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, there's some things out there that there are guys right now doing in the ring that they're just not done in the world of sport anywhere.
Right.
So, you know, keep in mind that there's some really awesome athleticism that's shown in the ring. There's some really awesome storytelling that's done in the ring. There's some things that really can be appreciated in that world that just aren't done anywhere else.
Yeah, I always tell people this: when you go in, it's good versus evil. When you come to, I always encourage people when they come to a live event, cheer, boo, yell your face off, let go. It doesn't matter, you know. And when I was in Kansas, there was a little boy who was his first show, and he was about the age that I was when I first saw pro wrestling. Mm-hmm. And after the show, he came up with tears in his eyes, and I says, "Oh, are you okay?" He says, "I'm just so happy.
Aww.
This is just so amazing, and you're so good." And you know, his dad bought a picture, and I ended up, you know, signing for the little guy. And I said, that's what it's about. We just made a lifelong fan, you know, because he was able to come and cheer as loud as he wanted for the guys he liked and boo the guys he hated, and he didn't get in trouble for yelling and screaming.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and it's like I said, it's 2 to 3 hours of just letting go and forgetting about the world.
Yeah. And keep in mind, some of the oldest storytelling in history has been done with the body. You talk about opera, you talk about any type of storytelling, plays and whatnot, were all done with the body, through singing, through interpretation, through dance, through things like this, even through the pro wrestling medium. It's all combined in one. Like Bruiser said earlier, it's like ballet with violence. So there you go. Yeah. Let's real quick before we move on. I know we've taken up a lot of time with this, but we just wanted to answer Jan's email there and kind of get it out there one more time. Want to remind people that on darknessradioshow.com, we now have Bob Dennis's podcast, which is like a little microcast, believe it or not, called Urban Legends Stranger Truths, which addresses a topic a day. So I believe lately it's been aliens, vampires, different myths and whatnot. It's really refreshing. A lot of people, you know, one listener said something about his voice kind of reminds me of Paul Harvey. Now, growing up with him, I never drew that parallel from Paul Harvey to my uncle.
I did right away.
Did you? Really?
And I listen to these when I tan because, you know, they're short, they're quick.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so I'll right when I tan, I can get about 2, maybe 3 in.
Okay.
While I'm tanning, and it makes me think of spending time with my dad, because my dad always had Paul Harvey on, working in the garage, you know, putting bent nails in his Folger coffee cans, because for some reason he did that.
my grandpa did that too. Yeah.
So when I heard when your uncle came on the show and I heard him speak, it took me back to that place. So now every time I do that, in fact, I had to call my dad the other day after tanning, and he goes, "You okay?" I said, "Yeah, I just miss you, Dad. That's all." And so I put him onto it because he likes to, he's curious about the stuff I'm interested in. So I'm going to call him today and see if he listened to a few and see if he can make the correlation.
yeah, please do. I'd be interested. That's interesting that you draw the parallel. So that is available on darknessradioshow.com. There's a tab there that says Urban Legends, Stranger Truths with Bob Dennis. Just click on that and you'll see, you just scroll up and down. You'll see the different shows that are there. Give it a listen, give it a try. It's like an old feature, an old news feature. You just click on it.
They're short, sweet, and to the point.
Yep.
And if you're just running to the grocery store or something, that's all you need. Like I said, I listen to 2 or 3 when I tan. Yep. You know, and it just makes the time go better.
Yeah. It's a nice little feature there. And I shouldn't say nice little, it's a great little feature there. And we're glad to have him aboard and redistribute that program for him. Speaking of, I was thinking of a couple little memories I just want to hit you with real quick when it comes to Bob, my Uncle Robert. I was thinking about this earlier today. You think about family and influences over Thanksgiving. I told you before, he had babysat us a few times when we were younger, and I told you he was a cool influence. He was the cool uncle, by the way. He was very funny, and he sent me a meme or a comic strip today about an alien. You guys might have seen it before, where the aliens are on the spaceship and they're pointing at Earth, and they said last month they were decapitating pumpkins, and now they're shoving bread up turkeys' asses. No wonder we don't invade this place. So, you know, but he drops little notes like that to me all the time. But it just reminded me that when I was a kid and he would either babysit us or he'd come by, he'd bring little gifts. There was one time he babysat us and he brought, Arby's used to have these really nice glasses, these tall glasses that had Looney Tunes characters on them. Yeah. Well, he brought Tasmanian Devil glasses and he filled them full of pixie sticks.
Oh.
And proceeded to let us have as many as we wanted while he was there. So we were all sugared up. I think I actually peed myself too while he was there because I had too many. But because he had us laughing so hard while he was there, he was entertaining us, and he was a great babysitter. But I lost it. And then I remember too that he had brought me, and it was one of my favorite posters of all time. I had it until I was in my 20s. This he turned me on to different black and white movies and comedy movies and shorts and silent movies. So the Marx Brothers was one of my all-time favorites, along with Laurel and Hardy. Yeah. And I got onto Three Stooges as well, but I had this. He gave me this huge Marx Brothers poster. It's the classic shot of the three of them, of Groucho, Chico, and Harpo, with the three heads. And I wish I could find that poster again, but even online, I would get it again. I don't know what happened to the original, but yeah, I thought of that poster, and I just thought of that I was probably the only kid on the block with a.
No, I had that. I had a Three Stooges one, with their three heads. And then I was an Abbott and Costello fan.
Yes, he got me into that too. Yeah.
So I had the Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein poster.
Yeah.
The old school movie poster. Because to me, that's one of the best Halloween movies ever.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So I was just thinking about that today too when he sent me that little meme of the alien. So so I want to wish him a happy Thanksgiving today too, because he'll be in Green Bay with his family. So.
Okay.
So, yeah. So let's, you know what? At this point, let's take our break because we're that far into the show. When we come back, boy, we got stories for you folks. An unusual UFO sighting, an eerie one at that, similar to a creepy Skinwalker Ranch incident where 50-foot discs and mutilated cows were seen. So that activity is ramping up. Boy, we got stories today, and we got to get through them today as well. How childbirth affects your psychic abilities. If you're a lady out there that has had them ramp up, we have the reason why. AI is now drawing comics.
Oh, God.
And they're actually pretty good.
Really?
We'll tell you about that today. And we'll tell you why turkey might not have been the first option for Thanksgiving. That's coming up at the end of the program. And how a pain in the neck might not have been your wife. It might have been something else for one man. That's at the very end of the program. You'll be surprised at what this pain in the neck really was. It's all coming up on this episode of Supernatural News. It's on a Wednesday. It's the Cruiser and the Bruiser right here on a Wednesday on the best in paranormal programming. This is Darkness Radio. Welcome back to the best in paranormal programming. This is Darkness Radio. I'm Tim Dennis. Right over there is the Beer City Bruiser. And we have got a busy set of stories here. We're going to get right to it and right into it for you here. I know we wax nostalgic here in the first half hour for you.
We did, but it's that time of year.
It is.
And I hope this Thanksgiving, all the listeners, whether you're with your family or not, have share memories.
That's right. And for those of you,
time to give thanks and share memories, happy memories.
That's right. And for those of you who may not be with family, tomorrow we are going to have an original program for you. We like to continue that tradition. You know, one of the things, having been in radio for over 30 years, one of the things that always got me, especially being on the road for a lot of those years, was the fact that there were people who were by themselves for Thanksgiving. I always loved doing an original program on Thanksgiving so that people had something to listen to. They had somebody there with them during the holidays. So if it turns out that you are by yourself tomorrow, just know that you have an original episode of Darkness Radio to keep you company, and that we love you, we cherish you, and we're right by your side tomorrow during Turkey Day.
I would always do a show on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now it's all Black Friday shows, so I'm okay with that too.
That's true.
Of course, when all my babies are out of the house, that's when I stop doing.
Right. That's when they stop doing the Thanksgiving shows. Yeah. Used to be promoters who were like, get out there and wrestle on Thanksgiving. Now it's like, let's wait for Black Friday. It's when they want to spend the money. Let's get to this alien story here, shall we, Bruiser? Just the eerie UFO sighting. Similar to Skinwalker Ranch. It is eerie indeed. A chilling UFO sighting, which is eerily similar to creepy Skinwalker Ranch stories where 50-foot discs and mutilated cows were seen, according to a witness. It's known as the most scientifically studied paranormal hotspot on the planet. Skinwalker Ranch in Vernal, Utah has been monitored for decades. According to testimony from the National UFO Reporting Center, a witness at Mapleton, Utah, reported seeing a circular-shaped object that looked like a planet in the sky near the moon. After checking it wasn't a planet and taking pictures and video, the witness said, it's also too large at that distance to be a drone or at least a civilian drone. What I saw is a head-scratcher for sure. Skinwalker Ranch is a couple of hours away, and what I saw looks exactly like what they've seen over the ranch multiple times if you've seen the show. Skinwalker Ranch has armed security and surveillance 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It was previously involved with a Pentagon-funded black budget project to study UFO activity, cattle mutilations, and other unexplained phenomena. I don't have the button up right now, otherwise I'd hit it.
You don't.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Phenomena.
There you go. The ranch is also known for being a living laboratory that studies other intelligence and possible interdimensional... Go ahead and do it again.
Phenomena.
There you go. The National Institute for Discovery Science also used the ranch in the past to research paranormal activity. Brandon Fugel, one of the most prominent commercial real estate investors in Utah, has owned the land since 2016 after purchasing it from aerospace tycoon Robert Bigelow. Fugel gave full access to a research team headed by Dr. Travis Taylor. It says here, who has worked for the U.S. Department of Defense and NASA in 2021. I have it on good authority that it isn't a full capacity.
Yeah, we did a story on that where he had said he was, and then the government came and went,
not so much.
No.
Yeah. Dr. Taylor's full-scale investigation was the focus of an 8-part series called The Curse of Skinwalker Ranch. Actually, it's gone for 3 or 4 seasons now.
It's a great show if anybody's interested in it, because they do what I like with ghost hunting, is where they try to debunk before they say that's that's a UFO.
Yeah,
and the tests they do is amazing.
Yep, and you can check it out on History Channel. Fugel said as early as 1911, the homesteaders started seeing unexplained phenomena. There you go. By 1979, there were a lot of UFO sightings being documented. There's a lot of backstory here about Skinwalker, but we've gotten into it before. Interesting story. You know, what's interesting, Bruiser, is when we were talking about and promoting that UFO conference earlier in the year, there are other ranches around Skinwalker that are reporting a lot of the same activity and have opened up their doors to people to come in and witness a lot of this activity. The only problem is, and here I'll pose this question to you quickly as we have to move on with a lot of our stories. But if you had the opportunity to go to one of these ranches, knowing that there is some danger here, having seen the Skinwalker Ranch program, would you go investigate one of the other ranches, not necessarily Skinwalker, but one of the other ranches to see some of this activity? Yes,
without a doubt.
Yeah?
Yeah, I would love to go and either disprove or prove, whatever phenomenon's happening out there. Obviously, the goal is Skinwalker Ranch because it's famous. But if one of those other ranches is open, I'd be more than happy to, because it's a big sky. So if Skinwalker Ranch is seeing it and this other ranch is 10 miles away, they're going to see the same thing. So yeah, I would 100%. How about yourself?
When I was a healthier man, I think I would have definitely, without a doubt. I don't know. I'm not as mobile anymore. So I would have a hard time, but it definitely intrigues me.
Set up a mobile command center for you, and you'd be the oracle, if you will.
If I could get one of those, have you seen those vehicles that have the big 4-wheel tires or all-terrain vehicles that can, and they actually have for disabled people, if the little rovers that you can get into that will climb over any terrain, but they're really expensive.
What if we made you the Barbara Gordon of the group? You sit in the watchtower and the belfry, and you look over and, hey guys, I got something here. Go there. We go there. And Tim, you got to come out here. You know what I mean?
I would do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most definitely, I would do that. For sure. For sure. There's no danger in that, believe it or not.
We're a team, Tim. We're a team.
We are a team. I would do that. I changed my mind. I would definitely go do that then. I don't know if you heard about this story or not, Bruiser, but there's a mystery of some sheep walking in a circle for 12 days. Have you seen this story?
No, I've heard of turkeys doing the circle thing because that's their defense maneuver, but not sheep.
I saw a tweet earlier today from a Tesla account. It's like a fake account. I shouldn't say fake account. It's a tributary account, I guess, saying something strange is about to happen. And it shows these sheep walking and it's a lot of sheep walking in a circle. They're all following each other in a circle. Now you can say it's migratory patterns, or it's somebody's got their wires crossed, or it could be ley lines, or it could be anything causing these sheep to act funny,
Yeah.
But a scientist says there's a possible explanation for the bizarre phenomenon involving a huge flock of sheep caught on film walking in a circle for 12 days straight in China. Again, this is happening over in China. The eerie video, which was posted on Twitter last week by the Chinese state-run outlet People's Daily, shows dozens of the animals marching around and around on a farm in China's remote Inner Mongolia region. The tweet accompanying the creepy footage assured viewers that the sheep are healthy, and the experts suggest that there also could be a very natural reason behind the animals' striking behavior, which has unnerved and mystified people around the world. It looks like the sheep are in the pen for long periods, and this might lead to stereotypic behavior, with the repeated circling due to frustration about being in the pen and limited, which would make sense.
Yeah, I can see that.
That according to Matt Bell, who's a professor at the Department of Agriculture at Hartpury University in Gloucester, England. That according to Newsweek. Then the other sheep join as they are flock animals and bond or join their friend. Again, that makes sense as well. The social... What's that?
But 12 days is a long time to be aggravated and doing that. You know what I mean?
Well, but aggravation and anxiety builds. So
that's true. That's true.
If they're irritated and aggravated and they keep going and they keep going and they keep going, it's kind of like, you get into this effect where you can't break the circle no matter what. Even if you have someone come over and try to distract them to break them up, you can't because they've become a hive mind. They continue to...
They flock.
Yeah, well, like sheep would. That's why you have dogs that herd them, and you have sheep herders that try to do what they can to keep them separated and keep them running in different directions.
Yeah,
because they will do things like this.
Ziggy's a natural herder.
Really?
She'll nip at our if we do a circle, she'll nip at our ankles or back of our knees to make us break direction.
See, and that's why dogs like that are essential. It says here the social behavior of sheep is dominated by flock mentality, which controls the animal's movements and protects individuals from predators by prompting them to flee from danger as a group. The sheep had been moving in a nearly perfect circle since November 4th. That's a long time.
Yeah.
It's unclear whether they stopped to eat or drink or whether they were still moving in unison as of Monday. And here's the deal, folks. They can actually kill themselves by doing this because they'll continue to do it over and over and over again and not stop for nourishment.
Yeah, they won't eat, sleep, any of that, even though they're sheep and just need to count themselves.
Right. Count themselves. I just got that. The owner of the sheep farm, identified as Ms. Mao, claimed that the spooky sheep roundelay began with just a few animals before the rest of the flock joined in. So I'm not going to make the joke about the song that goes with that. Although there are 34 sheep pens at the farm, only the sheep in one of the pens, number 13, had been acting this way. Some have speculated that the sheep's behavior could also be caused by a bacterial disease called listeriosis, I believe, which is also known as circling disease. The illness can be transmitted through contaminated food, soil, or animal feces. It causes a wide range of symptoms, including depression, loss of appetite, fear, partial paralysis, and circling behavior. Listeriosis usually causes death in infected animals within 48 hours, so it does not explain how the sheep in China continued walking in a circle for 12 days. I'm just going to show you the picture here, Bruiser, so you get an idea of what this massive circle looks like, because it's... When you get something this large, it's almost frightening.
Oh, geez, that's a lot of sheep.
Yeah, that's an enormous amount of sheep.
That's how many they had in one pen? Holy cow!
Yeah, so yeah, that's frightening. And in the picture, there are actual dogs trying to break it up, and they can't.
Which is unusual because those dogs it's their nature to break it up.
Yep. Yeah, the dogs can't get them apart, which is scary. That's scary indeed. Let's move on. A mystery surrounds the fate of a killer crocodile that has eaten 300 people. You would think
and no one's killed this crocodile yet. Why?
Because he's a killer crocodile. Evidently, he gets you first. That reminds me of a Yakov Smirnoff joke. In Russia, crocodile gets you first.
What's that movie, Lake Placid, where Betty White's feeding the crocodile, the alligator, constantly, and now it lives in this lake eating people?
Yeah, that's essentially what the story is. A huge crocodile named Gustav has been terrorizing locals near Lake Tanganyika in Burundi for decades. It might sound like the plot of a horror movie, but this... Speaking
it
of
is.
devil,
it's a plot of Lake Placid.
Yeah. But this particular monster is very much the real deal. A 20-foot Nile crocodile which rhymes, by the way, I'm a poet and I don't know it, that has struck fear into the hearts of locals since the first attacks in 1987.
Okay, kill the crocodile. He's clearly a nuisance to society.
Over the decades, this huge reptile has been linked to a string of lethal attacks in villages up and down the northeastern shores of Lake Tanganyika, with a reported death toll exceeding 300. Some believe that Gustav could be as much as 100 years old, though scientists believe that the figure is more likely to be closer to 60. Either way, the beast is undeniably lethal. Despite concerted efforts by hunters in the region, nobody has been able to catch or kill it. Such attempts were even filmed for a 2004 documentary capturing the killer croc, which followed the group who aimed to capture the animal and release it far away from human settlements. Inevitably, though, their efforts to catch Gustav using a sophisticated trap ended in failure. Not all, however, is lost in this situation, Bruiser. Most recently, sightings of the beast have fizzled out, suggesting that the huge crocodile has either died of natural causes or moved on to some other area to carry out his attacks. No sign of a body has been found, so it's not clear if it is still alive or not. While this might seem to provide some respite for the locals, the possibility that it still lurks in the waters around their villages means that they can never truly let their guard down. For all they know, Gustav might be still watching from the shadows, waiting for a chance to strike.
That's just creepy.
It is, yeah.
Can you imagine, somewhere in that water lurks this beast? You know what I mean? That's creepy. That is horrible.
It is. And that it hasn't killed once, not twice, not 10 times, 20 or 100. It's killed 300.
For decades.
Yeah.
Not just in the last year. For decades.
For 35 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's people trying to kill it and catch it, and they can't. Like that. That's almost urban legend.
That is. That is. Well,
that's how urban legends start.
If Bob's listening, maybe he can dig into the topic. There you go. Sea monster. Speaking of, we're going to stay with the deep here. A sea monster is caught on camera in China. They're having some activity this week. They've got sheep in a circle and a sea monster underneath.
In a circle.
In a circle. A sea monster is caught on camera in China. This is definitely there's definitely something in the water, they say. There's evidently something in my mouth I can't spit out either. This footage seems to be from a bridge in China and captures remarkably clear footage of a giant monster in the water. What kind of monster remains unclear, however, but it's clearly something unusual. The camera zooms in to show a huge snake-like creature swimming through the water. No limbs are visible, but the elongated form and serpentine movements quickly bring to mind one of the common portrayals of the Loch Ness Monster that bears an uncanny resemblance to the Chinese dragons of myth and legend. What is a strange creature swimming through the murky water? Some say it is a type of whip kelp, but the movements seem far too purposeful for anything but swimming. Another common explanation cited is the oarfish, which does seem to accurately fit the physical description. However, these are deep sea fish rarely seen on the surface alive, and it's believed they are unable to survive the pressure difference from ascending. Some commenters think this creature is more likely to be a Chinese alligator. Oh, another gator. That's good. You can't have too many of those hanging around, can you?
I think it's a whale penis.
It could be. Yeah, that's always the answer. Whale dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That whoever sent us that picture, it's ruined sea monsters for me.
There's nothing like whale dick. You dip it in a little cocaine, you got some fun dip. We all come full circle back to a few weeks ago.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, it's just, we always go the low-hanging fruit route here on Darkness Radio. So it's likely to be a Chinese alligator, they say, sometimes known historically as the muddy dragon. It does come back to whale dick, doesn't it? The muddy dragon. The muddy dragon sounds like something horrible you'd order in Shanghai at a red light district.
Or it's an STD that you get in China.
The muddy dragon.
I just got back from Beijing. Yeah, what'd you bring with you? I got a little bit of the muddy dragon. I need some shots of penicillin.
That's going to take more than penicillin, my friend. These reptiles are often attributed to be the base of the Eastern dragon mythology, and it does seem a feasible explanation for what is seen in the video. Alligators are found in freshwater, and it's unclear whether this is an ocean, river, or lake that they filmed. So there you go. By the way, go to Shanghai or Beijing, get yourself a little bit of the muddy dragon while you're out there.
Or don't.
What number combination is that on the menu, by the way? The muddy dragon. Yeah. Are we already at the end of our program? Oh no, I read ahead. How did I do that?
You skipped ahead.
My God. I hit. Wow. Okay.
I think you got some of that muddy dragon.
I got some of that muddy dragon. All of a sudden I skipped past a bunch of stories. You know what I did? I went and I hit, that was weird. I was on UFOs and I was going to read these different UFO stories, and for some reason it folded over to the end of the show stuff. That's weird. It was almost like the gods wanted me to skip all these stories. I was going to talk about, I was trying to go in order and talk about the U.S. military's secret space plane and it coming back from its record-breaking mission. Oh, okay.
I didn't know they had a space plane.
They did, and it's unmanned.
Ooh, okay.
Which is really weird. There's a uncrewed X-37B space plane. It touched down at NASA's Kennedy Space Station on November 12th, having spent a record 908 days in orbit. The secret space plane, operated by the United States Space Force, has landed back on Earth after spending a record 908 days in orbit. But what it was doing above our heads remains shrouded in mystery. The uncrewed X-37B space plane touched down at NASA's Kennedy Space Station on November 12th at 5:22 a.m. Eastern Time, concluding the sixth mission that it and another identical vehicle did since the first flight in 2010. Details on its activities during the record-smashing trip are sparse, but officials claim it was conducting a number of scientific experiments at around 249 miles above Earth. The X-37B was first designed by Boeing for NASA before being adapted for use by the U.S. military. It's an airplane spacecraft or hybrid in many ways, resembles a miniature space shuttle. For its sixth mission, classified as Orbital Test Vehicle 6, or OTV-6, it was launched vertically while perched atop an Atlas V rocket in May of 2020. The spaceplane has now spent roughly 10 years in orbit across all of its missions, covering approximately 1.3 billion miles. The new 908-day flight smashes the 780-day record for a spaceplane in continuous orbit, which also set by the X-37B during an earlier mission. The X-37B continues to push the boundaries of an experimentation enabled by an elite government and industry team behind the scenes, was all Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Fritchen, X-37B program director at the Air Force Rapid Capabilities Office, said in a statement, the ability to conduct an on-orbit experiments and bring them home safely for in-depth analysis on the ground has proven valuable for the Department of the Air Force and scientific community. The addition of the service module on OTV-6 allowed us to host more experiments than ever before. The United States Space Force has revealed only a few morsels of information about the experiments conducted aboard the craft during its most recent flight. These include a test by the U.S. Naval Research Laboratory that successfully harvested light from the sun before beaming it back to Earth as microwaves, and the deployment of an electromagnetically steered training satellite designed by U.S. Air Force cadets. NASA also provided an experiment called Materials Exposure and Technology Innovation in Space that researched the effects of space on different materials. Interesting indeed.
I wonder if they're going to use it as a troop transport of some sort.
I don't know. That's interesting. Maybe.
That'd be really cool, you know?
Yeah.
Like literally death from above.
That would be interesting. Yeah.
That's like they're not letting us know all the experiments they're doing, and it's created for, I'm assuming transporting stuff.
Well, the microwave thing has me intrigued because that sounds like an offensive weapon.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, because you can cook anything from the inside from above. When you say death from above, that's what I think of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, we were talking about Havana syndrome quite a few months back. And one of the things that's talked about with Havana syndrome is microwaves. And
which we can't see, but we can feel.
Yeah, and being able to cook somebody from the inside. But what if you could do that from space? And doing that, being able to hit a target in a different country without them seeing it.
And it's unmanned, so you don't have to worry about human error.
Yep. So
if it gets shot down, it gets shot down, but it's in space. Nobody has rockets to go to space.
Well, that's the thing here. I can't say who told me this. I don't know if I should even say it. When you launch an offensive against something in space and you blow it up, space debris stays there forever. And not only that, but when you shred that vessel, it then expands and starts to take out satellites.
Yeah.
And it takes out satellites that are key to things like communication, and things that are essential, and even like the ISS. So there are pacts and treaties among governments that were not to fire on things that are in space.
It's kind of like international waters, isn't it? Space.
Yeah. You're not to launch an offensive. Let's just say there are governments that have done so.
Oh, okay.
Already.
Like launching stuff towards satellites, I'm assuming?
Yes, that have destroyed their own satellites in space.
Okay. Which is a no-no because that creates a space debris which could hit somebody else's satellite.
And there, earlier this year we were having problems with reception.
I remember like T-Mobile shut down and stuff because of a problem with their satellite, and they said it was space debris.
Yep, that's what that was.
They said it was like a little nut or screw or something like that.
No.
Which is amazing.
It was a certain country that turned and fired on its own satellites to destroy them and created a space debris field. But they did it on purpose, knowing they would take out other satellites.
So the intention wasn't taking out their satellite. The intention was their satellite will then create essentially a larger weapon.
Yeah.
To take out other satellites.
Yeah. I'll just put it this way. You can find it on TikTok. I know it sounds very conspiratorial, but all the evidence is there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's interesting. Maybe this could also be a way to protect our satellites from that.
Very true. Although I really do think this is the.
I think it's offensive too, but they could be testing it as a defensive measure also. I
think this is the U.S.'s version of Havana syndrome to answer back to those who are striking out with it.
I'm curious how pinpoint they can be with that. Like, can they target an individual, or does it have to be a building, or does it have to be, you know what I mean? Because with the Havana syndrome, from what I understand from stuff that you've taught me, was you and I could be standing next to each other and it can affect me, but not you.
Yep.
So I'm wondering if in space, how accurate they are.
I think they could be incredibly accurate, but I think this is probably a wide range weapon they're testing.
Yeah. To take out units.
Yep. Units or buildings or even government buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Interesting conspiracy theory talk, I guess. Let's move on. Riding a balloon into space from a floating spaceport, specialized capsule will launch passengers to the stratosphere from 2024 at a cost of $125,000 per ticket. How badly do you want to go to space?
I don't.
You don't?
Nope.
No, there's no.
Remember a few years ago when that guy for Red Bull went up into the stratosphere and parachuted back to Earth?
Yeah.
Everybody thought that was really cool. I thought it was the stupidest thing in the world.
Okay.
I have no intentions of going to space. I'm happy with my feet here on the ground.
See, I
don't want to skydive. Why jump out of a perfectly good plane?
If I knew it was relatively safe to go up into space and come back, I just have memories of the Challenger and all that other stuff in my head.
Yeah, I have memories of that and Star Wars and Star Trek and Apollo 13 and think about it. Challenger, Apollo 13, some of the other missions that went haywire, they trained for how many years to get ready for those missions?
Yeah.
And something still went wrong.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Here's me and you, two schlubs, paying $125,000.
Yeah, we're just going to go ride along.
We have to watch a video.
Yeah, I'm ready, boss.
No, leave me on Earth. Have fun.
Yeah.
Tell me about it when you get back.
Exactly. Well, a U.S. space company that aims to send tourists into space using massive balloons, not a good idea, is now buying up ships to turn them into floating spaceports. Florida-based firm, of course they're in Florida, Florida-based firm Space Perspective has acquired a 292-foot-long shipping vessel from Los Angeles shipbuilder Edison, is this Chowist Offshore, I guess. The ship, now named MS Voyager, will become the world's first marine spaceport for human spaceflight and the first in a planned global fleet operated by Space Perspective. The fleet of shipping vessels will host launches of Space Neptune, the company's luxury passenger capsule that will be carried into space by a football stadium-sized inflated balloon. Oh, great, it's the Metrodome in space. I can't wait.
We saw what happened to that.
Yeah, it deflated many times. And then Brett Favre got dumped on his head, and that was the end of the Vikings franchise for another 10 years. Space Perspective is currently selling flights on its Space Neptune capsules for $125,000 that will gift Voyagers safe and sustainable journeys to the edge of space and insane views of Earth. Oh, I can't wait for this to fail miserably. Passengers will be able to feast their eyes on 360-degree views of Earth while inside the capsule, which comes complete with a bathroom, bar, and onboard Wi-Fi.
Oh, that's what we want. We want people getting drunk, taking selfies.
It's not like
up in the stratosphere.
It's not like you can hang your head out the window and throw up.
You know someone's going to be trying to get that perfect selfie and end up hitting the emergency button and falling out.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're just drunk on, Tito's up in the stratosphere.
Tito's and cranberry.
Yeah.
They're like, I didn't get this. They throw up in their space helmet.
Look at me, I'm in space. Look at me.
You didn't hit that handle, did you?
Or it's going to be two guys up in space getting drunk going, I bet you can't pee on New York. Come on, pee on New York. Come on, Tim, go pee on New York. Okay, I'll pee on New York.
Had one too many seltzers or White Claws. It's going to be one of those guys. Hey,
let's press ham to the earth. Come on, it'll be great.
Press ham to the earth. That sounds like a great album name.
Bruiser the Cruiser, press ham to the earth.
Pressing ham to the earth, the new album from Earth, Wind, and Fire. They should release that album, Earth, Wind, and Fire. Pressing ham to the earth.
They should.
That should be the name of their tour, their 2023 tour, Pressing Ham to the Earth. Launching from 2024. Oh, God, it's coming soon. Each capsule will take up to 8 guests into the stratosphere around 100,000 feet or 19 miles from above our planet's surface for a trip that lasts 6 hours. How would you like to be trapped with some hillbilly for 6 hours?
I don't like taking air flights that for 3 hours next to some people.
Oh, my God.
I had an hour and a half, 2-hour flight last weekend, and I had to sit next to the oldest lady in the world that had the stinkiest farts. I cannot do 6 hours with that.
Oh, my God. Yeah, where's the ventilation coming from?
Yeah, and they're drinking on top of it.
Oh, my God, no. And there's probably one bathroom for all 6 or 8 of you.
Exactly.
Can you imagine that? Alcohol's a bad idea for this deal.
It is.
Yeah.
You're going to have giant stratosphere orgies.
Oh, the 19-Mile High Club. Think of that deal. People trying to get their smash on up in space.
Like I said, you're going to get those 2 drunk guys that want to pee on New York. Yep. And they're going to press ham and hit the emergency button. 6 people die. Drunk on Tito's.
Drunk on
White
Tito's.
Claws.
That sounds like a Jimmy Buffett song. Drunk on Tito's and I'm up in the They probably have a Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville inside that deal too. You know that,
probably.
Right?
Jimmy Buffett probably signed up right away. Like, hey, I'll put my name on that.
I want a Margaritaville on this floating balloon.
Come on, parrot heads. Let's get real high.
Let's get real high. Come on, boys. He's going to perform the inaugural concert as they go up into space.
Right here safely on Earth, because he's not an idiot.
That's true. Space flights for 2024 are sold out, surprisingly. But customers can still book their seat now for 2025. You get a free Parrotville shirt when you book. According to the firm's website, buyers will have to put down $1,000 deposit up front and pay the rest later. You get installments.
They have a layaway plan.
Yeah, they do. Space Perspective is led by husband and wife team Tabor McCallum and Jane Pointer. She didn't even want to take his last name. She was so embarrassed. Who founded?
She's like, this pyramid scheme's not going to work, so I don't want my name on it.
This is worse than Amway. Who founded the firm in 2019. According to the firm, marine spaceports create ideal launch conditions in two ways. Firstly, once launched, the space balloons can move with the sea breeze, which they'll be serving on board, by the way. Be sure to ask for the marine port sea breeze. Secondly, unlike more conventional land-based ports, ships can navigate to areas of good weather, which allows for year-round operations within a given region. Both these factors mean there will be frequent launch opportunities as well as more options for the time of day, including sunrise and sunset flights. Oh yeah,
you're in space. There's no such thing as sunrise and sunset.
So yeah, they're definitely working the Jimmy Buffett and the 19 Mile High Club.
I cannot wait till 2025 when they announce, when we're watching, some true crime documentary on this couple scamming people out of $125,000.
Yeah, we'll be covering them in 2025 on True Crime Tuesday.
Yeah.
What's more, launches will be made or will be able to take place in different parts of the world, which will give customers because they're gonna run. Is what they're gonna do.
Exactly. They're going to sit in international water so nobody can touch them.
That's right. They're going to take your money and run. They'll be able to take place in different parts of the world, which will give customers awe-inspiring views of different parts of Earth during the ascent and descent.
Why do I keep getting flashbacks of the Fire Festival?
That's exactly what this is.
This is the Fire Festival of space travel.
You're going to be a bloody mess with a sandwich in one hand and a bottle of water in the other. Space
Stock 99 all over again. Here we go.
Space Perspective will change your relationship with our planet by providing this quintessential astronaut experience of viewing Earth from the blackness of space, especially when that balloon pops.
Buzz Aldrin's quoted as, "You're crazy."
Y'all is stupid. Removing geographic borders for launch and landing accelerates our mission of making this transformative experience more accessible to the world and keeping our money in Sweden. In international marketplace, safely, reliably, and with minimal impact to our planet, it says. Oh, Christ.
Yeah, minimal impact to our planet, but thinning out the human race. $125,000 at a time.
They're part of the Illuminati. They're going to get us down to 500,000 eventually. Well, the nation's largest center for historical records on UFOs is going to be in New Mexico. They're going to be in one spot.
That makes sense to be in New Mexico.
Yeah, they're not moving around from place to place.
No, because they don't have a giant pyramid scheme.
But curiously enough, they'll have a Margaritaville right there in the lobby.
They'll have a bar, they'll have Wi-Fi, they'll have everything.
They'll also have a TGI Fridays because they're everywhere as well. Competing restaurants. The largest historical archive of records of on unidentified aerial phenomena. I need my button. My God, I'm getting dizzy from laughing so hard. Here we go. My button. Where is it?
Phenomena.
There it is. In the nation will be unveiled in New Mexico in the coming years, according to a group of leading UFO historians and archivists. The National UFO Historical Records Center, or NUFO-HERC, will be dedicated.
Just look for the giant gray sipping on a margarita.
Yeah.
That's their mascot.
I did not get my chips. Where are my free chips? Will be.
This is not a cheeseburger in paradise. What's going on here?
I wanted well done. Will be dedicated to the preservation and centralization of UAP information in the United States, according to a press release announcing the new nonprofit organization led by researcher and historian David Marler.
Every room just has a different episode of X-Files playing.
Yeah. Have you seen our episode 3 room? Here's the one with Jesse Ventura. The organization has announced its plans to have its archive housed at a facility in the Albuquerque, New Mexico area, drawing from collections housed by several researchers from across the country. The National UFO Historical Records Center will be featuring documents from the collections of archivist Jan Aldrich, Rod Dyke, I almost called him Ron, Barry Greenwood, Rob, is it Swiatek? Sure. And several others. I'm going to get so much shit from the UFO guys. Notably, that is not his name. By the way, Margaritaville is way overpriced. We'd rather have Fridays. Notably,
it was an Applebee's. We want the appetizers.
We want the riblets.
Come on, $3 Long Island iced teas. Let's go.
We want the baby back, baby back, baby back. Notably, the organizations, although the margaritas are a little better at Applebee's, aren't they?
Chili's is really good.
Chili's, Chili's.
The El Presidente.
Yeah, let's do Chili's. We'll get Chili's for the UFO museum. Yeah,
they'll make the Grays happy.
It'll make
2 for $20. Yes,
2 for $20. Notably, the organization's New Mexico facility will also house collections owned by the J. Allen Hynek Center for UFO Studies. Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Now it's
sold now. Yeah. I'm going.
Following the transfer of files by its director, Mark Rodegeyer, PhD, to Marler in November 2020. Included with this collection are the personal files of J. Allen Hynek, the center's namesake, who served as scientific advisor for the U.S. Air Force's official UFO investigations for close to 2 decades. So there you go.
And with every ticket you get, a man in black will follow you around the museum
to make sure you don't steal anything. Yeah.
And when you get out, there's going to be black helicopters everywhere.
That's right. Although, rumor has it, there's a Dairy Queen on the way out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you get yourself a nice dilly bar.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Oh, I haven't had a dilly bar in forever. I'm going to have to get a dilly bar.
Do they have dilly bars where you are?
They do. Except our DQs aren't DQs. They're something else.
Oh, no, you don't have like Dairy King or something like that, do you? Or?
It's creamy something, yeah. But it's essentially Dairy Queen.
No, it's not Dairy Queen. It's
not, but like when you look at the menu and you look at it, it's like, okay, yeah, this is Dairy Queen. This is not called Dairy Queen.
Yeah, it's not the same.
No, it's not. I haven't eaten there yet.
It's true. You got to give us a report when you finally eat at the fake Dairy Queen. Let us know.
I will.
Yeah. Let's move on. AI is now drawing what they call a stunning comic book series, although you'd never know it.
Okay.
Yeah. The Bestiary Chronicles, not Bestiary, but Bestiary. Yeah, Bestiary, Bestiary, Bestiary Chronicles, is both a modern fable. Oh, wait, I got to fire up the, don't I have to fire up the,
we're talking AI. Yeah. Nightmare Fuel.
Nightmare Fuel. So we got to, wait, okay, so we got to fire up the theme here. There we go. Now this feels better. The Bestiary Chronicles is both a modern fable on the rise of artificial intelligence and a testament as to how shockingly fast AI is evolving. Of course, they're doing a comic on themselves.
Exactly. They're putting themselves over and showing how they're going to destroy the human race.
That's right, bastards. You might expect a comic book series featuring art generated and entirely by artificial intelligence to be full of surreal images that you have tilting your head trying to grasp what kind of sense-shifting madness you're looking at. Not so with the images in the Bestiary Chronicles, a free 3... Of course, it's free, so you get hooked on it.
Oh, yeah. It's like free comic book day.
Yeah, exactly. Free 3-part comic series from Campfire Entertainment, a New York-based production house focused on creative storytelling. The visuals in the trilogy, believed to be the first comic series made by AI-assisted art, are stunning. They are also stunningly precise, as if they've come straight from the hand of a seasoned digital artist with very specific story and style in mind.
I want to know which artist they're taking from. Like, is it a Jack Kirby influence, Frank Miller? Like, who's influencing it?
No, you know who it looks like? It looks like Mark Silvestri.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It very much looks like Silvestri. In fact, I'll show you here in a minute. In fact, if I were Silvestri, I'd sue. You know, Mark Silvestri is back with Batman this winter.
I heard that.
Yeah,
I'm very excited for that. He had a great run.
It looks really nice.
Yeah, he had a great run with Batman.
The visuals in the trilogy, believed to be the first comic series made with AI-assisted art, are stunning. They are also stunningly precise, as I said, as if they come straight from the hand of a seasonal digital artist. That's I read that before. With a very specific story and style in mind. Deep underground, the last remnants of humanity gather to learn about the monsters that they have to learn about the monsters that have destroyed their planet, reads a description of the lesson, the visually rich, retro-futuristic third comic in the trilogy. All three are available for download now on Campfire's site and also come in softcover and hardcover printed anthologies. Though AI-generated visual art can tend toward the wildly absurd, the photorealistic humans in the Bestiary Chronicles don't have rearranged facial features or limbs protruding at odd angles. It's not a Bill Sienkiewicz comic. That's inside for all you comic geeks. The monsters, with their glowing eyes and astonishingly bad teeth, look like love children of Godzilla and Vagar, and could hardly be mistaken for anything other than rage-filled beasts. This algorithm-assisted art looks tailor-made for the dark dystopian tale, which leans on tropes from 1960s sci-fi horror film Village of the Damned, and from THX 1138, George Lucas's 1971 debut feature film. For the, let's see here, I'm trying to get to the meat of the story here. This is kind of a scary quote. By the new year, even the trained eye probably won't be able to perceive an AI generation from any other, is what the guy being quoted here in the article says. It's exciting and terrifying at the same time, but you can't put the genie back in the bottle, so we're embracing the future as fast as we can. In other words, they're working comic artists out of a job.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know that I like this. One of the things
I don't either.
Yeah, one of the things I love about comic artists in general is the originality, is the fact that everybody has their own style. And when you look at a few of these panels, although they are really nice, they're nice to look at. They just look like the generic every comic you see out on the shelf right now. And there's a look at.
Oh yeah, it looks digital.
It does look digital. It just looks like every other animation you see right now.
Yeah, I would not be a fan of that.
No, I have certain artists that I absolutely love out there in comics. I love John Byrne. I love Jim Lee. I like Mark Silvestri. I love Todd McFarlane. They all have their own styles.
Yeah, it adds personality to the drawing.
Yeah, and I'm not a big fan of today's comic artists. Eric Larson's another one I love. But guys like Jack King Kirby, Steve Ditko, they all had their own styles. John Romita Jr.
Romita Jr. I'm a big fan of. I like him more than Romita.
Oh, sacrilege.
I know. I get in a lot of fights at comic book stores because of that. So someone we know sent me an AI. They did an AI version of Beer City Bruiser, CJ.
Yeah, yep.
She sent me this. I don't know if you can see it. She put Beer City Bruiser into an AI.
Yeah, I saw that. I got sent that too. That's funny.
And then did you see the steampunk version of me?
No, what's the steampunk version? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I look like as an AI.
That was funny because you're holding up 2 big mugs of beer. You're double fisting, but you never look better, my friend. I'll tell you.
Thank you.
At least AI got that right. They're
looks better than that stuff. The stuff you showed me just looks fake.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's very well. I think because you put such a vague line of text in there.
Yeah.
It's just. We go from one version of AI to another, and thank God game makers are thinking a little bit, because King Charles and Queen Elizabeth zombies have been cut out from Fallout London mod, rather. Yeah, there's such a thing as respect for the dead and respect for moving on in the monarchy.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you agree or disagree with the policies of the monarchy, let's not do ghoulified versions of Queen Elizabeth.
No. Too soon.
Yeah, a little too soon. Little too soon. Let's stay away from that. Plans for ghoulified versions of the monarchs were canceled out of respect following Elizabeth's death in September. One of the most exciting Fallout 4 mods in the semi-near future is Fallout London, which is due out in 2023 and will take us across the Atlantic to see how jolly old England coped with a bunch of nukes being dropped on it. We've seen a lot of the mod already. Both in this lengthy gameplay video, which you can't see because it's a podcast, and another that gave us a tantalizing glimpse of rideable bicycles and weaponized elephants. You got to love weaponized elephants.
Oh, yeah. Hannibal had the right idea when he weaponized his elephants.
That's right. Something we won't be seeing in Fallout London, however, is Queen Elizabeth, thank God. Original plans for the mod included a ghoul-filled version of the United Kingdom's longest reigning monarch. Probably a bad idea to begin with.
I wonder if they had that idea before she passed away, and then she passed away. They're like, yeah, too soon.
They probably did. Here's the mod itself, complete with blue dress, fancy hat, and two little ravenous corgi ghouls by her side. Just sounds disrespectful in itself, but I get it. I mean,
but if she was alive, it wouldn't be disrespectful if you think about it. There's
punk rock and there's just ew, and that's just ew. But the real queen's, I'm sorry, what?
Now it is because she's passed.
Yeah.
It's like now I'm glad they ixnayed it.
Yeah. But the real queen's death in September has led to the mod creators' decision to remove the zombie version of Elizabeth from the full conversion project. Note, ghouls, particularly feral ghouls, are occasionally referred to as zombies in the Fallout universe, though it's usually considered a derogatory term. The development.
They're ghouls. They're not zombies. Two different things.
Yeah, two different things. The development team of Fallout London first retweeted news of the removal of Queen Elizabeth from the mod last month, reminding fans that this was the plan all along. In the event of Her Majesty's death, our feature for her within the mod will be removed. The modders had said previously in a statement, I can't be bothered to find or verify, it says here, and that's the person who's writing the article. A new Fallout London progress video posted yesterday officially confirms the decision. The Ghoul Queen is out. It's probably best.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Like, thank God for them being like, hey, let's be sensible here. She just passed.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of a ghoul, let's talk about a ghost, shall we?
Oh, I like ghosts.
Yeah. This story has to do with a guard who let a ghost of a deceased patient into a hospice thinking it was a living person.
Ooh, that's got to be a really good ghost. Holy cow.
Yeah. It's interesting. The energy it takes to create a full body apparition, but to create one that would fool a living person must take a lot of energy, one.
Yeah.
But two, to get fooled like that is it's got to be a little unnerving.
It's got to be terrifying.
Yeah.
Because that's a powerful spirit.
Yeah, it is. Especially
if I had to go through the whole process of checking in and filling out the paperwork.
Yeah, and be able to hold that visage the entire time. Yeah. It's actually on film. The unique footage filmed in the unique footage filmed in Argentina, and the accompanying story is perhaps one of the best evidence of the existence of ghosts in recent years. A strange video captured by a security camera at an Argentine hospital hospice shows the doors opening and a night guard encountering someone unseen. I'll tell you what, I'll put it in the description of this program, and you'll be able to click on the story, be able to see the video for yourself. So it shows the doors opening and a night guard encountering someone unseen, but the guard himself claimed that he clearly saw this woman when she entered. The eeriest thing is that when he later named the woman he let in, it turned out to be a hospice patient who had died a few hours earlier. It turns out that the guard saw either some kind of astral double of the patient or her ghost.
Either way, it's creepy.
Yeah. I wondered
then if you if you pass away, is your energy stronger than you think? Because it's you go from living to dead, and that's all we are is energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if that's how she used her energy then was this. You know what I mean? I'm curious.
I've got to think at that moment when you first pass, it's got to be its strongest when you're earthbound. The way I'll just for a second here, I'll give you something that Marianne Winkowski once told us here, who's the real life ghost whisperer, told us on this program many times. And I got to see if I can get Marianne back on the show. She told us at one time that for 3 days after you die, you're here. A lot of people like to see their funeral. They like to see who shows up to their funeral. But your energy is here. You see the people who mourn over you. You try to comfort the people around you. You want to see what happens with your body, things like that. But your life essence is here, and that white light is there, and you're to go to that white light. Mm-hmm. But you just feel like you have business to get to before you go to it. And that white light shows up either at a funeral home or whatever. And when the funeral's over, it's your time to go to that white light. Whether that's the case or not, I don't know.
Right.
But it makes a lot of sense because we do have earthbound spirits that might be afraid of judgment. They might be afraid of what's on that other side of that white light. And I could see where they would have free will and want to choose whether they want to go into that white light or not.
Right.
But I would think if she had died just a few hours prior, that she's at that ultimate strength of spirit, that she could be visible to him as an apparition, but not visible to a camera.
Right. And that makes a lot of sense because according to the theory you just said, she's her most powerful at that point in time.
Yeah. Yeah. It says here, according to the local TV channel TN, this happened in the city of Buenos Aires, Argentina. At 3 o'clock in the morning, the automatic doors to the entrance to the building opened and the guard saw a tall woman entering. He asked her name and wrote down the data in the registration folder. The woman looked ill and frail, so that would be essentially the way she was before she left her body. Mm-hmm. So he offered her a wheelchair, but she refused. As to the purpose of her coming, she said that she needed to collect the personal belongings of the patient from room 915, who had died the previous day. This room was located on the 9th floor of the building, so it was not surprising that the woman did not return for a long time. However, when the guard thought that she had been gone for too long, he contacted the employees working on the 9th floor and asked them about the visitor. But he was told that no one had been seen on the floor at night and that there was no one in the indicated room. Then they checked the surveillance cameras and found that the guard was talking to someone invisible. Then they checked the name written by the guard and found that this name and surname belonged to a patient who had died a little earlier in the day.
That is creepy.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I'll post the link in the description of the show so you can watch the video for yourself and see that there's no one there.
That is creepy.
Yeah. Creepy, but somehow
fascinating.
Fascinating and a little bit comforting.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Speaking of ghosts and abilities to see people, let's talk about how childbirth can affect your psychic abilities for the ladies out there.
When you mentioned that earlier, that really piqued my interest. So I'm real curious about this story.
Okay. Your sense of perception is growing by leaps and bounds, according to this article. And it's written by Diana Logan. And she says, I often tell my children that one of the things that happens when you become a parent is that you get an extra set of eyes, invisible, of course, that grow in the back of your head. The way you can keep an eye on your kids, even when your back is turned, so to speak. She says, I don't know if I have particularly credulous kids or what, but they seem to have bought it, at least for a little while. However, now I'm wondering if there isn't something to my claim. Maybe childbirth did make me a little bit psychic. In this video, she says, that's in the article, TikTok trendy psychic medium, the Light Seer, answers viewers' questions about their own supernatural abilities. Particularly, can becoming a parent import a sixth sense? Hard for me to say. According to him, yes. pregnancy can change your psychic abilities. He claims that the process has to do with energy trapped in your bones and organs being released when those organs shift during pregnancy and childbirth. But what if there's another cause altogether? Parenting, whether you have or physically given birth to the baby or not, is all about tuning into another human's needs on a deep nonverbal level, not just another's physical needs either, but their emotional and spiritual needs. Another parent could probably tell a story of a time that they had a sixth sense about something their child needed. And
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think such a thing is called mother's instinct. And I as a parent, because when the child's a baby, it's not like they can, hey, I'm hungry. Hey, I'm this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to kind of feel that process out.
And it does ask the question, was it simple intuition or psychic abilities developed as a result of trying to so deeply understand the human in your care? And you bring up a point, Bruiser, and it's an interesting point. And it's this. In order to care for an infant that can't communicate, the mother needs to be in tune with that infant and be able to care for that infant. And it's more than just simple instinct. And scientists would say, and skeptics, and more than skeptics, cynics would say, well, you need to develop some sort of natural instinct or intuition. It's built in. Well, built in how?
Yeah.
There's no way you could know. And there is sometimes a malfunction of a mother to be able to connect to a child.
Yeah, there's definitely cases of that.
Yeah.
That's where you get the drowning of the child and all that. But I do believe in I'm going to say mother's instinct, but I for years thought my mother had eyes in the back of her head.
Yeah. But most mothers can connect so deeply to their children, and not just in the infant or even even through the teenage years with a child. They connect for the rest of their lives.
Oh yeah, I've had my mother call me because she's had a feeling.
Yeah, And it's funny because even though fathers can tell from time to time that something's wrong, the connection isn't as strong.
No, and I think that's because we don't share the same energy as a child, where the mother does. You hear about the stories where the child is born stillborn, and they place the child on the mother's chest, skin to skin, and then the child breathes and comes back to life.
Right.
And doctors can't explain it, and I think it's because of that energy that they share and that connection that they have.
Right.
We call it mother's instinct, but it's something more, I think.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think there is a connection there between mother and child that's not explainable to science, but is something a little more supernatural.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. We're getting down to the last couple of stories here on Supernatural News today. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving. And of course, a lot of you will sit down to a traditional Thanksgiving dinner. But what exactly is a traditional Thanksgiving dinner? That's what we have to ask ourselves. Now, you may say, well, of course, it's turkey, it's stuffing, it's this, it's that. But is it?
Not if you go with the true Pilgrim way.
What do you think it is, Bruiser? What do you think was almost the Thanksgiving main dish?
I know ham was on there. I'm pretty sure some chicken was on there. I know corn was on there. Basically, whatever animals they had around.
What if I told you the main dish for Thanksgiving was almost eels?
No, I can see it because they had buckets of them everywhere.
Yep. And of course, they were right near the ocean.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense. Thank God the Native Americans came along and said, don't eat that.
Yeah. Very bad for you.
Eat this.
It's commonly thought that turkey was the centerpiece dish for the first Thanksgiving feast that took place in 1621. However, historians believe that other dishes, including other fowl and venison, like Bruiser was pointing out, were also served. One food that was also likely a main dish at the feast and was important to the Pilgrims, but has largely been forgotten, thank God, in the history of Thanksgiving, because I'd never eat it, was one expected one, and that was eels. Oh.
If you go back and watch old episodes of Fear Factor, they have to eat eels in that. And it dates back to the Pilgrims.
Yeah. The Pilgrims lived on their ship, by the way, when they did live on the Mayflower. In September of 1620, the Mayflower departed from Plymouth, England, carrying 102 religious separatists and crew members, hoping to find a home in the New World where they could practice their faith freely. It took 66 grueling days for the ship to cross the Atlantic Ocean, and when they finally dropped anchor, they did so far north from their intended destination, stopping at the tip of Cape Cod, where they met the Kennedys and all had a stiff drink.
No, I'm kidding. Then began politicking right then and there.
That's right. When they arrived, the freezing New England winter kept them from climbing ashore, as did the hostility they were met with from the local Native American tribes. It wasn't until March that the Pilgrims, who survived disease and malnourishment while aboard the Mayflower, finally made their way to shore to set up their new village. Everything kind of changed when Pilgrims met Squanto. When the surviving Pilgrims came ashore, they had little idea of how to survive in this new environment. They did not know how to hunt, which fruits and vegetables were safe to eat, or how to plant and harvest crops. Survival seemed more difficult than they had originally planned. It wasn't until the Pilgrims met Squanto, or Tisquantum, as his real name was, an English-speaking member of the Pawtuxet tribe, that their survival seemed more likely. Squanto had been previously captured and sent to Spain as a slave. He escaped slavery, learned English, and boarded a ship back to North America, where he discovered his tribe was completely wiped out due to an epidemic that was likely brought on by Europeans. Squanto served as a bridge between the English and Native American tribes. When he discovered that the struggling Englishmen, or when he discovered them, he was kind to them and offered them food in the form of an eel. Oh, he was trying to poison them right off the bat. Let's face it.
He's like, if they eat this, he's giggling behind his back.
That's right. He's like, here, this eel is good for you. He caught as many as he could and gave the fatty fish to the Pilgrims. It became essential to their early survival. Not only did he gift them eel, he taught them how to catch it for themselves. He also showed them how to plant and cultivate corn, where to find wild fruits and vegetables, and how to hunt. He was a lot more kind than we were to him.
I was going to say, he definitely turned the other cheek.
Yeah, and then some. Squanto giving the Pilgrims eels made sense given the time during which he discovered the Pilgrims. Eels do not like cold water. During the winter, they gather in large numbers to ball up and twist themselves together in the mud.
Oh, that's just a creepy image.
Yeah, easy food, though.
No.
This makes them easy to catch with the forked spears that were typically used by the Native Americans. Native Americans would also harvest eels in large numbers by building river weirs or weirs in the autumn. River weirs are smaller scale dams that raise the water levels in a small area to allow for the buildup of, in this case, the eel population. After the eels were caught, they were dried and smoked for the winter. Oh, now that wouldn't be too bad if you smoked them.
Yeah, it would.
At least they're dried out a little bit, and they have a meaty texture.
No. I'll just eat herring.
Have you ever had eel pout, by the way?
No. I don't even eat eel sauce.
That's more of a Norwegian thing, I think. They provided
the most Norwegian thing I do is herring on a cracker.
Yeah. I don't like herring. Ugh.
And you're from Minnesota? Come on.
Yeah, I don't like it. They provided a long-lasting, reliable food source, those eels did. They're probably no longer on the menu, though, even though they might be somewhat good smoked. Bruiser disagrees. When the first Thanksgiving meal took place the following year, it was very likely that eel was served at the table. The reason eel has been forgotten as an essential food for the Pilgrims is likely because the fish doesn't look very tasty. It's slimy, has a tendency to make people queasy. I'll second that. And it's also likely that the eel became known as a meal for the poor, lowering its status even more at the Thanksgiving feast table. It's probably a good thing that eel's no longer part of the traditional Thanksgiving feast, as the American species is now endangered, this in part due to pollution in dams, as well as high demand for fish in Japanese cuisine. So there you go.
And fish oil.
Well, and fish oil too, yeah. Finally, Bruiser, today we're going to leave you on kind of a weird note. I was going to leave it with eel and let you retch, but I won't. I'll clear the palate, so to speak, by letting you know that, yes, most of you will be spending time with family and they're a pain in the neck. This guy,
family.
this guy had a different pain in the neck. Thank God. That wasn't necessarily his family. This man was shocked to discover he'd been living with a bullet stuck in his neck for 77 years.
Oops.
Yeah.
How did you miss that one?
As I go to my pain doctor this afternoon, I don't have to complain necessarily. A 95-year-old Chinese war veteran recently discovered that he'd been living for almost 8 decades with a bullet lodged in his neck.
How do you miss that? He had to have had x-rays.
Yeah, I got to think that you remember something like that.
Yeah, like you're itching and, I have a bump here. I wonder what that is. Go get it checked out.
You would think. After suffering from a fall from the balcony of his house in Shandong, China, Zhao, it says, emphasis on the wrong syllable. He didn't report any symptoms to his worried family. He didn't feel any pain, but after a while, the World War II veteran did start to feel a slight discomfort in his neck. So his son decided to take him to the hospital for a checkup. After hearing about his fall, doctors recommended an x-ray, of course, to ensure that he hadn't suffered any serious damage to his neck. Only instead of a fracture, the x-ray revealed a foreign object in the man's neck, which would later be identified as an old bullet.
How? This is baffling me that he had never had any problems before this.
You got to be tough.
You do.
To just go, oh, yeah, I forgot about that old bullet in my neck.
Or, hey, oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I fell off a balcony. I don't need to go to the hospital.
No, yeah, I wasn't really going to show up here, but I had this pain in the neck.
Yeah. I had this pain in the neck, and my son brought me.
The 95-year-old man told doctors that he had joined the Chinese army as a teenager and fought through 2 years against the Japanese invaders during World War II and on the side of North Korea during the Korean War. He suffered multiple... Wow, that's a tough guy. He suffered multiple injuries during his time in the army, but he did not remember anything about taking a bullet in the neck. I'm going to show you.
How do you not remember that?
I'm going to show you this x-ray in a minute, Bruiser. You're going to be astounded. He was injured while carrying a wounded comrade across a river during one of the battles. There was shrapnel in other parts of his body as well, said the man's son-in-law named Wang. His son-in-law evidently has a name that was palatable to his daughter. Zhao himself estimates that the bullet had been in his neck since 1944.
How do you... Okay. This is a tough son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Do not get into a fight with this guy.
Again, in 1944, he was hit by a bullet while crossing a river. The bullet allegedly went in through the left side of his nose, perforating his upper jaw and knocking out 4 of his teeth before becoming lodged in his neck. This is just his lunch, or his hunch, though. Not his lunch. It was his lunch. It was just his hunch, though. He didn't know for sure.
He just all of a sudden had 4 teeth coming out.
Yeah. After examining...
I have a hole in my mouth. Don't know how that got there.
After examining the x-rays, doctors told Zhao, he and his family, that the bullet was close to some major blood vessels and that it hadn't caused him any problems, but it was best to leave it in.
Okay, now I've heard about that. I've heard people. I know a girl that was shot in the back, and they had to leave it in so close to her lung.
Yeah, and let me show you where this, pardon my language, where this sumbitchin' thing is, because it is so delicately placed, you can't remove it.
Ah, that's a big bullet too.
Yeah, that ain't no small bullet. That's from a rifle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
77 years with that thing in his neck, and he didn't think anything of it.
Nope.
Jeez.
How do you not feel that?
Do not get into a fight with that guy.
And yeah, no shit, because he'll knock you out.
Yeah.
Even at 95, he's climbing a ladder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is one badass dude.
Yeah.
I will drink a beer in his honor this weekend.
Yeah.
Wow.
Happy Thanksgiving, Mr. Zhao, because holy shit, you are tough.
Yeah. That generation's gone.
To give you an idea, for those of you who are familiar with necks, that thing is sitting right in front of his C5 through C7.
That's right where his Adam's apple would be.
Yep.
And it's about the size of, would you say, tip of a pinky?
Yeah.
First knuckle of a pinky?
At least. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge. And it's sitting on his right side of his neck.
Yep.
And it's so delicately near his carotid artery.
It looks like he swallowed it in the x-ray.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
Grandpa Zhao is badass.
Yeah, he is.
They don't build him like that anymore.
You know who I feel sorry for in all this?
Wang?
Yeah, his son-in-law Wang. Because if he ever steps out of line, he's a dead man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Zhao will just kick the shit out of him.
Yep.
Yep. Two major wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 major wars.
Badass. That's all I got to say. He is badass.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. So there you go, folks. Just when you think you're feeling a little lazy and can't get off the couch this weekend, you've had a little bit too much turkey and a little too much football. Just remember, there's a guy out there in China who's got a bullet lodged in his neck.
Yeah, a big bullet.
Yeah.
And it's been there for 77 years.
Yeah. But, you know, he fell off a ladder and he's okay.
Yeah. Didn't want to go to the hospital.
Nope. No, he's just fine.
Nope. The pain in his neck made him go to the hospital.
Yeah. And it was
then they found the bullet.
It was his son-in-law that wanted him to go. He didn't want to go.
Yeah, the pain in the neck.
Yeah, pain in the neck.
Wang.
That's his big... Yeah, Wang is his big pain in the neck. So that'll do it for today. Again, Bruiser, remind people where you're going to be this weekend.
WrestleCade weekend, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Come on out, say hi, get some pictures, meet some legends. Let's talk paranormal. Let's talk true crime. Let's talk conspiracy theories. Mrs. Bruiser will be there with me. You can talk to her if you want.
Absolutely.
And it's going to be a good time. We actually got the hotel room there, so we didn't have to drive home. And I'm really excited for it. Really excited for it.
And I'm excited for you, my friend. I know you said Rock and Roll Express is who you're going to be facing in that first match. And my God, is that an honor.
Yeah, it'll be my second match of the weekend. I can't tell you about Friday.
God, you want to go so badly. But watch Bruiser's social media to find out what's going on Friday at WrestleCade Forum. Go out and say hi to him this weekend if you're in the area. Even if you're not, drive down there, by God. You're going to see more stars than you can shake a stick at, including our own Beer City Bruiser. We'll have information up here shortly. By the time you're hearing this podcast, you'll see on darknessradioshow.com how you can get tickets for WrestleCade. Otherwise, go to his social media and you'll be able to get tickets for WrestleCade. They're selling out
fast. Like they have tons of VIP packages that are almost gone. And it's one of the biggest wrestling events of the year.
And it will make news. There's a lot going on.
It's people from other countries. I mean, this is almost as big as Access for WrestleMania.
Yep. So it'll make news this weekend. You'll hear a lot of news coming out of WrestleCade this weekend. So
a lot of my idols will be there, and I can't wait to hang out with them again.
Yeah.
Boy, good old Mick Foley. He'll be there.
Yeah.
Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun. There's gonna be a lot of industry there this weekend. So if you're a wrestling fan, even if you're not a wrestling fan, if maybe you haven't tuned into it for a while and you want to see some of your idols will be there. Check it out this weekend. I myself am just gonna hang out this weekend. Be thankful for a lot of people, including you guys who listen to this show. I can't tell you how blessed I've been this past year, and from Bruiser coming onto the show to having you guys listening to the show week upon week, show after show. I'm thankful for Jerry Pauly. I want to say thank you to Jerry Pauly from Hillbilly Horror Stories, who when I needed a friend and I needed to reach out to a guy to talk to in this industry, he was right there. And he gave me a lot of good advice, a sounding board when I needed somebody to talk to. I want to say I'm thankful for Jerry Pauly. I want to say thank you to my Uncle Robert, Bob Dennis, who also was a good sounding board when I needed someone to talk to. I want to say thank you to him. I want to say thank you to my family for being there for me in thick and thin. I'm looking forward to sitting there and having some turkey with them. Bruiser, who are you thankful for this weekend?
I'm thankful for obviously all the listeners for welcoming me into the Darkness Radio family. I'm thankful for all my children for supporting me for the last 22 years of this crazy dream that I've been doing. Mrs. Bruiser, I'm very thankful for. She is my rock. She's been there by my side through thick and thin. She kicked me in the ass when I needed it. Thankful for the wrestling community. When Ring of Honor shut down, the wrestling community, we all bonded together and made sure we all could still work. And it's been amazing. Thankful for Ziggy Starpup.
Yeah.
She filled a hole in my heart. When all the kids moved out of the house, I was kind of lonely. And this little mutt came along, and she's been my best friend ever since. And just a blessing. I'm thankful for you, Tim, for reaching out for a guy when he was down and out and giving me a new passion for podcasting. So,
well,
and I'm obviously thankful for my family.
You certainly belong, my friend. You are a natural, and I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate you more than you know. I love you, buddy, and I don't say that lightly. I don't say it lightly.
I love you too, man.
I want to also say I'm thankful for intern Yoko. You guys have no idea how much she helps me on a daily basis behind the scenes, and how much she's just really been part of my life, and man, I tell you, you guys have no idea how broken down and useless I am behind the scenes, and she really is the light in my life. So love you, intern Yoko. You, my God, you have no idea how much you prop me up. I'd be a broken down old man. And
I was going to say, intern Yoko and Mrs. Bruiser put more duct tape and tinfoil on us to get us to the next spot.
Right?
You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I always say, like, Mrs. Bruiser's the one that gets me out to the ring because she duct tapes me together, super glues me together, and that's what intern Yoko does to you, and make sure we can do what we do to entertain all our fans.
Exactly. Also, I want to say I'm thankful and grateful to Mally Fox and Jessica Freeberg, the other co-hosts on the show. While Bruiser's going to get a much needed break after WrestleCade weekend, and he's going to take next week off, Mally Fox will be in next week. All right. And she'll be here to help entertain you guys. So I'm grateful to Mally and Jess. Love you both and appreciate you. And so we'll have Mally in next week as well. So, good. So that's what will happen next week. I think that's about it. Tomorrow on the show, we're talking Kinderhook Creature with author and experiencer Bruce Hallenbeck. That's short for Sasquatch. That's right.
Great Thanksgiving conversation.
It is. We're going to carve up a Sasquatch tomorrow. That's what's on tap for tomorrow. That's what we have to look forward to. We're going to talk a little bit fact and fiction about there's a new book out there called The Kinderhook Creature. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. We'll have a guest on in a brand new show for you tomorrow as well. Again, I want to thank you guys so much for being part of this crazy journey known as Darkness Radio. We're coming up on the 1 year anniversary. This is coming up on the 1 year anniversary of the new and improved Darkness Radio. And we're coming up on the anniversary of Darkness Radio on January 1st. So, big stuff coming up. And we're trying to get bigger and better every week and do some interesting stuff. Want to thank you guys for entering the Darkness Radio Millionaires Club contest. I'm going to have that up on the blog here shortly, all the winners. I've just been deluged. Like I said, 4 doctor's appointments this week and 3 shows to put out. So this week has been a little busy, but I'm going to get those winners up on the blog on Darkness Radio Show as well. So you'll have everything up and by the time you hear this, you should have everything up and updated on the blog. So that's about it for Beer City Bruiser. I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much for being a listener here on Darkness Radio. We will see you tomorrow on Thanksgiving for another new episode of the best in paranormal programming. This is Darkness Radio.